gentlemen, I'm gonna jump straight in, and well, we only have one mic. Is that yeah? Okay, okay.
Perfect.
This is going to be interesting. Okay, Stefan, you're obviously going first, but okay, AI use cases. Can you give me one concrete example of an AI use case that you're seeing in production right now?
Okay, first of all, thank you for inviting me here. Okay, let's go straight to the subject. Of course, there are a lot of relevant use cases of using agents in production and so on, but I will change a little bit the topic, and I will say that this is not the way to go. I mean, it's not only about implementing isolated agentic AI for very small scope. It's about doing this process orchestration. Yeah. So first of all, you need to orchestrate the process, and then come up with the agents. Yeah. And the main issue now is that most of the enterprises are not ready for agentic AI, just because this process orchestration doesn't exist at all. So you have to first implement a deterministic way of handling the processes, and then implement in a very enterprise level, organized, governed an agent. Yeah, if you do it, in siloed, you'll end up actually. We have this saying that you have to orchestrate first and automate later. Yeah, because if you do it, start with the agent first, you'll scale up chaos. Yeah, at machine speed, because everybody will put their agents, and you'll end up in a big mess.
Okay, no, that makes sense. I mean, that's the classic thing with I guess banks and big financial institutions for so many years, right? They build silos, so it's. We don't want to do that.
And all the managers these days wants to, mark a checkbox. I've implemented AI. It's not about it. Yes. So you have first to make it, make the foundation, the baseline in a very enterprise manner, and then, automate something that already works. Yeah. So a deterministic process should be automated, not start with automation and then think about making a centralized, holistic orchestration.
No, that's good. Andre, it's great to hear a bank's perspective on this topic always.
It sounded very logical, but complex, what Stefan just said. As banks, we started with something simple, so search and summarization. It's a simple use case for customers on the site, and also for internal employees. We didn't touch yet the decision tier, and not the industry specific AI cases. So like creating new modes or new services or new products, which is on the other side of this line. So this worked, but we are not yet making automated decision with AI.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. And I believe that it's always about starting internally. So we're seeing a lot of companies starting internally by automating different internal processes, because you have AI that you can control. If it makes mistakes, it makes these mistakes to one employee, not to everyone. So it's definitely the use case when companies are learning the AI, what's possible, how hard it is to really make it in production. And then they are trying to do something that is customer facing. And I think that the biggest challenges on the market today is like running a lot of POCs, tests on the different use cases that are, at the end of the day, are about to interact with your end customer, but many of them ending up not being productized because of the different challenges, like making a decision and so on. So there are already different techniques how it's possible to have this agent to talk to your customer, solve different problems, do it in the way more higher accuracy and effectiveness versus the previous chatbots, the previous AI. But I believe that it really depends on the company, what kind of technology they have, what's the appetite, and how they want to really approach. But it's really possible today for having the AI not only used internally by employees to do some kind of researches and so on, but really having this AI already on production, running these complex conversations with customers, solving the raw problems, sometimes even upselling. Like one of the use cases we've been doing is even running the outbound calling for debt collection. And we're seeing AI talking to the customer and handling these conversations. And what we learned, people are more likely to talk with AI about their debt issue versus the human, and the conversion is becoming higher. So these are the real use cases that already happens to the market.
That's pretty cool. I'd never heard that before. Yeah.
So maybe I would just point a few from different angle. I remember 10 years ago when we spoke about another great technology called blockchain. One of the greatest description I got was, this is a great technology which is just looking for a problem to solve. And I believe that AI is exactly in the same bucket. We are also still questioning, okay, what is the use case for AI? But question shouldn't be, what is the use case for AI? Because it's not the solution for everything. It's one of solutions which are available now on the market. It's, very powerful, very versatile and whatsoever. But we shouldn't think in the direction, okay, now I have AI and what can I do with this? But, what exactly is your business model? What is the process? How it should run in ideal way? And maybe actually the first question you should ask AI is, okay, where can I use it the best way? Let's talk with AI about the solution for itself. Big problem is we are now adding AI on the top of everybody said. I mean, processes are not optimized. Just adding AI layer on the top of that will not solve it. It will just freeze actually the mess you have below. And this is not a solution.
Oh, that's a nice point, actually. I like, the whole blockchain example is pretty good, right? Because, the technology has been around for so long now, but we're only actually really seeing, for me, I think we're only seeing like a really good blockchain use cases like now. And it's not because people started with a blockchain first, right? They're starting to build this up problem. So good example. Maciek.
I'll try to answer that from a different angle. Maciek told us that customers are more, well, I would say, happy to talk with AI about, their debt because they don't feel judged. And in a software company as Komar, right, we actually use AI to judge things. And let me explain. So what we have done is we have automated the software development lifecycle with usage of AI tools. Now, it may sound like something from an AA playbook, but this is a 12-step process where first we analyze, right? We do the analysis, we do the requirements decomposition using AI. Then we do, of course, different kinds of development, different kinds of testing, etc. Always having in mind that there need to be those iron gates that need to be checked before any kind of code is deployed into production. Nevertheless, we found that the process is actually very effective, right? It speeds up the development of our own software. We actually use it in production. And it's a very use case that actually demonstrates that in a, let's say, formal setting that is actually programming, right? That requires you to stick to some rules of a particular language. It's actually a very effective tool that speeds up the production of software, something that we do.
Pretty cool. We're talking about legacy workflows, so it's part of the, I guess the microphone's going to go back either way. So sorry, Stefan, you won't be able to talk for a while. But I guess when people hear legacy, especially in financial services, they're thinking about a mainframe. But it's not always about the mainframe. There's a lot of kind of processes attached to the mainframe in a lot of ways, or people have to adapt because they have an old piece of technology at the center. Where do you kind of start with kind of modernizing in the environment we are right now?
Yeah, I guess that the biggest problem with legacy is the inaccessibility of data and the processes that are embedded in those, old systems that are not connected to each other, that are not able to talk. So I would say that since AI runs on data, right, and it requires good quality data and it requires real-time data to deliver some great results, I think that the first starting point should be about bringing up the data quality and opening data up to be accessible, right, by those newer systems. Because banks, they have many systems, some of them still written in COBOL from the 70s, right, from the 80s. And the systems, they hold the processes, that they hold the data, that if it's not accessible, it will not be usable, right, in the future, whether it's by AI tools or some other kind of automation tools.
Okay, so it's still the same problem. We need to pull out the data from all these old systems. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I would agree with that and add it a little bit more into the deep. We all understand, yes, AI is depending on data. Data has to be, clean, better, nicer, whatsoever. But what exactly does it mean? I mean, the main problem in majority of banks is the problem that simply data is fragmented. Fragmented in a way, ask a simple question. In how many systems a client name is written? And if the answer is more than one, I mean, that's the first problem you have to solve. We are now, again, adding AI in a way to, consolidate the data between different databases. But this is the wrong solution. Solution should be to consolidate databases in a way that you have proper structure so that you don't need to consolidate after that, right? So the proper data model has to be built. And unfortunately, this is not happening. Why? Especially in the bigger banks. Now, especially with this famous agile transformation, everything is even more fragmented. It's just called differently. Now it's not division, now it's a tribe, cool, but it's still a silos. And in all those silos, you have this technology, and in all those silos, you have data which is multiplicated through different layers. As long as you have that, I mean, yeah, adding AI will speed up doing the work which shouldn't be there at the first place.
Yeah, so we're still struggling for a single view of a customer, yeah.
I believe that saying that you need to have a better data structure is just a huge excuse today. Because if anyone will say on any meeting, we need the data, we need to structure it, we need to make it better, like what it really means. Like, it's just an excuse. We're talking about this, that we need the data, but we're not doing anything. And where we're seeing the most successful approach how to adopt the AI is to really start with what you said before, with the use case. And the use case means, hey, what we can really do with this AI, that we can drive the business value, and by investing X amount of hours of our work, X amount of hours of a third-party work, X amount of dollars into tokens, how much revenue, how much ROI will drive. And then let's start talk what kind of data we need. And if we're talking about internal processes, we can find a process that is complex, that is time-consuming, and we can start with a process that can be, small, simple process, but we run it hundreds of times a day, or we can talk about a process that is very complex that we run it a couple of hundreds a day. Then once we find this process, we understand how much does it cost. Then we can ask ourselves, like, can we optimize it? Can we do it better with AI? And then let's ask what kind of data or what kind of integration do we need. The same for any kind of customer support automation. The customer support is like the best place to start using AI, because everyone knows that if we put AI into customer support, we'll be saving money. We can reinvest this money somewhere. But we don't need to, from the beginning, automate the whole customer support. We can just find these processes that are the most time-consuming, the most expensive at the end of the day in total, and then ask ourselves, what data do we need, and start building this layer of the data. And this is where we're seeing like the most successful approaches that company can focus on, as you said, on the use case, see if we can point AI to solve this use case, see how much money we can save or how much money we can generate, and how much money we need to invest to structure the data. This is how successful companies are running implementation of the AI. The others are still sitting in the rooms and saying, we need to structure our data, but no one really names the problem.
Okay.
Fully agree with you guys. I feel just like rephrasing. The mainframe is rarely, I think, the blocker. And the main problem are maybe the processes that are next to the mainframe, most of them manual. And I mean, the workarounds, the rekeying, the spreadsheets between systems, and we should start with those first. Those should be redesigned, just draw it in BPM and end-to-end, and see where the volume is the highest. Rethink the steps and then automate.
I would say that if you are working in an enterprise, you don't have to be scared. I mean, already all your processes, all your applications, all your platforms are legacy. All your, you talk about the delivery process. Yeah, it's obsolete already. Yeah? It should be changed from scratch. You told about the way you are doing it. For sure, this way is not done in an enterprise company. Yeah? AI augmented software delivery lifecycle. It's a completely different thing than the standard way of delivery. The way you are, I don't know, doing the sustain, the customer support. Now it's already obsolete. It should be reimagined from scratch. The way the business processes are modeled now are already obsolete. I was in another event. I will steal from this event, and the CEO of Camunda, it's one of our partners, said this, that all your processes are already legacy. So it's hard, to do this transformation, but you have to at least aim doing it in the proper way. Of course, the way now the things are done, it's cherry picking, doing a POC. It works. It doesn't matter. The fact is that 95% of all the investments in AI are not creating the return on investment. This is the state we are in now. So all these areas should be reimagined from scratch. First, think about the impact, the value. Look at the process. Then technology, the way to do it. By the way, the data layer should be restructured from scratch. We are not talking about databases, data lakes, and so on. We are talking about enterprise context graph. We are talking about ontology, semantics, rules embedded in this data layer, which is a completely different thing. And we are doing it like this because the agents are used to consume data in this structured manner. So a lot of changes should be done. We are still experimenting, at least in CE. I would say that we are in the starting point. I'm happy that I'm part of a global company, and we are seeing the huge investments done in other Western or North America. And again, a lot of changes will come upon us, a lot of changes. And again, it's one technology and standards and platforms. The other one is the mindset. So we have to think already that everything we are used to do will change. And I think this should be a clear message.
Yeah, I guess the biggest thing for a lot of people about AI is, AI, sometimes we hear the word so often we forget it's artificial intelligence, right? So it's doing things that humans do. So for banks and other financial institutions, it's a bit more scary because it's being substituted in, and you have AI systems making decisions instead of people. So those decisions need to be explainable and they need to be reversed. So, how does that change things for, implementing AI programs, right? So there's certain processes that can be automated and certain places that have guardrails. So how do you see that developing? How does that affect what you do?
Okay, first of all, again, as I said, it's not everything could be automated using AI. This is clear. This is the starting point. So we have to combine, deterministic processes with the agentic orchestration, with human in the loop. You can use also AI as a judge, to also revalidate whatever other agent will do. There are a lot of techniques, but again, it's a matter of aiming, to orchestrate holistically the business, the processes, and using all these future-proof layers.
You're right. This is my testing rule. If it can be explained to a regulator, or if it can be reversed to a customer which didn't get the loan or which has its account closed, then this process should be automated. You will automate use cases that are high on volume, low on judgment. They are the same, more or less, and can be reversed. And these are good candidates. If the decision, it can be taken harder, or the volumes are not so high, maybe you should keep the process, or augment it and not automate it with AI, or make something like a human in the loop to do it. So explainability and reversibility are of huge impact for banks.
Are there any specific areas in the bank that you could talk about or explain a bit?
So for decision loans, this will be for a long time, not automated, maybe augmented, I would say. But the easy part would be using AI in checking documents and anti-fraud checks for onboarding, for example. This is something doable.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, and that's hugely time-consuming work as well, right? So it's
So yeah, governance is important for banks. We cannot skip it.
no, no.
We're running like 100 million conversations per year at Zawi for our customers, and I would never let AI to make any important critical decision for our customers. I mean, the technology that is being used behind the scenes, which is large language models, it's a technology that is meant to provide you with some kind of accuracy, but it will never get you to 100% accuracy. Even if you get your setup that is 99% accurate and you offer this setup to 1,000 of customers, you can expect that 9 customers will get wrong answer, wrong decision. And either you take this 9 people as your project risk and you have a liability compliance, or you need to build this agentic flows in the way that the decision is made by someone else. And of course, we can introduce the LLM judge to make a judgment, but it's also run by LLM. So then you have the other layer of the statistical decision. So maybe it won't be 9 people, but 4 people with the wrong decision. But still, it's the wrong decision run by AI. So this is important to understand that, as you said before, LLMs, AI we have right now, it's just a tool, it's a capability, but you need to build a proper tooling around this, like how to run it. And if you're talking with ChatGPT, Gemini, and so on, it's a beautiful agent that runs the text understanding and text generation better than anyone else in the world. But the truth is that it will always hallucinate a percentage of the decision, so you cannot use it to let it make a decisions for your customers. You need to have some kind of deterministic layer on top of this that is responsible for making this decision. And its typical successful workflows are done in the way that you split the responsibilities. You're using AI to understand customer intent, understand customer data, run the conversation part, but when you want to make a decision, you still are falling back to the conditional logic that is 100% deterministic. And once this decision is being made by this engine, then you use this AI to say, okay, now we have a decision, it's accurate. AI, I'm delegating to you to tell what's the decision to the customer in the natural way. This is how we can successfully do it, and this is how we can make a 100%. And the biggest reasons why all of this proof of concept are not on production in banking industry is because exactly people thought AI is very smart and it can make a decision. It can, but we then need to accept the risk of 9 people getting wrong decision. If we don't accept this risk, we need to have a special technology on top of this to solve this problem.
We are actually repeating the same topics all over again and maybe inventing the wheel. I mean, sorry, but computers should not make decisions, period. It should be people. Computers can help, AI can help, of course, speed up things and so on, but at the end of the day, responsibility is on us, right, for decisions and so on. First thing. Second thing, if we are still thinking about, using AI to automate process or whatsoever, the moment you start with that premise, this means you are freezing everything as it belongs, not doing anything, just putting something on the top to make it faster as it already is. And that's the wrong start. Actually, we should consider if there is now technology to help us to speed something up, to maybe change the way of thinking. I mean, one of my favorite example is, well, in some steps of the process, there are, documents coming in and we should, automate it in a way that OCR backed up with AI is, reading the document. And my question is, why the hell are we using document in the first place? I mean, the data is somewhere structured in a database, first of all. Second of all, if we talk about official document, I mean, there is API existing on the government side to get this data. So think about this. I mean, don't put AI on the top of what is already there, which is most probably already old and wrong and shouldn't be like that. Simply, again, rethinking, redoing it means completely doing the process in a different way and actually applying AI where this power of crunching the data and everything can help, but still, decision has to be on the human side. Simple as that.
No, I like that. And it reminds me of an odd example. But in the UK, they have the Open Property Data Association. What they've done is they basically made all property data like accessible through through APIs. So rather than just having an AI read all the documents, they've just gone to the foundation level and done something really smart, which is probably saving tons and tons of energy as well, right? So it's the way to do it. Maciek, please.
But this is all still about data processing. And I think that LLMs solve one of the bigger problems that we've had previously with computer natural language processing. So previously, you had to write very complex algorithms to be able to understand what the user is actually saying, right? To be able to extract pieces of data. And LLMs, they are as, text generators and the processor of text generally. They are very good at extracting data from natural language, right? You can use different words that mean the same thing, but in the end, the LLM will handle that very well. And for example, we use AI agents in some part of the processes. For example, we have this loan origination software where we have an agent whose role is to extract data from the documents that the user is providing, right? It doesn't matter if it's a physical document or if it's a document that has already been scanned or, it's in a digital form. It's about understanding the language. And LLMs are actually very good at that, right? But still, of course, as we are talking about credit processing, there needs to be human in the loop. It's all about having this traceability. It's all about, speeding up the work and actually making the process faster, using AI as a tool, right? You can think of it as a drill. It will help you to drill screws in a faster way, but it's still a tool and you need to be in control.
Okay. I've been told there's only 2 minutes left, and I have one question, and there are 5 of you. So, do you promise to answer less than 30 seconds? I'm looking at you specifically. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Okay. Please, a very short answer. What do you think is going to change in the next 18 months with AI? One process, one answer. Fast, less than 30 seconds.
Security of systems, right? With Fable, with Mythos, we will see a lot of scrutiny put on the security of IT systems.
Very short, very good answer. Thank you.
AI bubble will burst. It will become very expensive, and we will start thinking in a proper way.
I'm loving these answers, guys. Please.
I believe that more and more developers will deliver a better job and faster ship software because there is a prediction that developers will be using, the salary of developers will be growing 20% spent on the tokens.
Already said that, document checks and anti-fraud is feasible in 18 months. I would just add a good practice. Let's use more the ADR, the architecture report, the decision report that is structuring, the decision, and somebody new in a bank can see why somebody took a decision 5 years ago. And AI should consult every time in a loop that library.
Okay, just a prediction. We will finally have here in Europe something in AI to be proud of, because now we don't have infrastructure, we don't have energy. We talked about in the previous panel. We don't have LLMs, or we have Mistral. It's the only name you can think of in Europe. So huge investments will be done in Europe exactly touching this subject, to have something comparable with the other part of the world,
Okay. Now that, I think, Stefan, that's a really nice idea to end things on. I mean, it's great to be, for me, for my job, I get to travel all around Europe, and I feel very strongly I'm an Irish person, but I'm also a European, and it's time we start building again, right? But gentlemen, thank you so much for being on the panel. I'm sure you can find them somewhere afterwards, but I guess we better go. Thanks so much.